Thanks, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here. And as our Secretary of Defense says, anytime we can get out of Washington, D.C., it's a great occasion. But this is a particularly good one and a particularly grand one for the commissioning of this wonderful ship. Several of you, Representative Klein, Representative-elect Reed, Undersecretary of Work, Vice Admiral Dan Holloway, a good friend, Deb and Dan Dunham, Commander Scott Scaretta, and the crew of the USS Jason Dunham, Marines, sailors, family members, and friends. It's an honor to be here for what is truly a great day for the United States Navy and Marine Corps team. The timing of this event could not have been better. From a personal perspective, I'm delighted to attend my very first ship commissioning as the new Commandant of the Marine Corps, as Secretary of Work has said. In this case, it's named after a true American hero. I think it's fitting that we commission this ship, named for a Marine, just 3 days after the 10th of November, a birthday shared by both Jason Dunham and the Marine Corps, and 2 days after Veterans Day, where we honored all the military, past and present. Just as the Navy and the Marine Corps are inextricably linked in history, this ship serves as a tangible link between our two services and embodies the greatness in the Department of the United States Navy. Not only is this a historic day for the Navy, it is as well for the United States Marine Corps, as one of our heroes of our Corps, Medal of Honor recipient, Corporal Jason Dunham, joins General David M. Shoup, the 22nd Commandant of the Marine Corps, and Vice Admiral James B. Stockdale, both Medal of Honor recipients, as namesakes on the finest class of destroyers to ever sail the seas, the Arleigh Burke. I can't think of a better single example of the shared bond between our two services than a ship of the United States Navy bearing the name of a United States Marine. It is a powerful symbol of our tradition and heritage as defenders of this great nation. I am thrilled to be a part of today's event. The commissioning of a naval vessel shares its roots with the earliest days of our nation, although at that time there was very little ceremony. Orders to carry the ship, quote, into deep water, taking on board her cannon, ammunition, water, provisions, and stores, her complement of seamen and Marines, and preparing her in every respect for sea, unquote, were issued to prospective commanding officers. Once the captain felt his ship was ready to take to sea, the ship was placed in commission. Very little ceremony and no celebration. I'm sure there were moments during the past 18 months when Commander Scott Scaretta and his crew would have been delighted to have gone back to this tradition. But today has finally arrived, and we owe thanks to all those who contributed to making this event a huge success. First, to the citizens of Broward County, who have graciously extended their hospitality to our sailors, our Marines, and our family and friends. Your efforts are deeply appreciated. Thank you. Second, to the men and women of Bath Iron Works, your uncompromising and diligent construction of this magnificent ship demonstrates the unparalleled capability of the American worker. Mr. Geiger, on behalf of all United States Marines, please pass on our heartfelt thanks to your talented and tireless employees. Commander Scaretta, Command Master Chief Chamberlain, and the officers and sailors of Jason Dunham. Your fidelity and sacrifice have brought this vessel to life. You have the enviable task of employing her full potential in defense of our nation throughout the globe. I know each of you will display the same honor, courage, and commitment, as did Corporal Jason Dunham. Thank you for your service. Dan and Deb, none of this would have been possible without you. You have borne the heaviest burden, the sacrifice of a son. But Jason's actions will not be forgotten. Your son, honored through this ship, stands shoulder to shoulder with the greatest men and women in our nation's history. Thank you for all you have given and all you continue to give. You embody all that is honorable in our American family. The values and patriotism you and the 1,900 citizens of Scio, New York, nurtured in Jason laid the foundation for his selfless actions. It was this selflessness that inspired Jason to join the military. He had a strong desire to serve his country, but as befitted his competitive nature, he wanted to challenge himself as an infantryman in the United States Marine Corps. It was selflessness that made him always want to help out the little guy, the underdog. This is what endeared him to his men. They knew that Corporal Dunham cared about their welfare more than they did. Before departing for his combat deployment to Iraq, he said, "I want to make sure everyone makes it home alive." He meant it, and his men believed it. On April the 14th, 2004, Corporal Dunham, a machine gunner with Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, led his squad on patrol in the western city of Karabela in Iraq. While searching a vehicle for weapons, Corporal Dunham was attacked by an enemy insurgent. In the midst of wrestling with Corporal Dunham, the insurgent dropped a live grenade with the intent of killing himself, Corporal Dunham, and 2 other Marines. Jason warned his Marines of the danger, and then, in the ultimate act of selflessness and bravery, he covered the grenade with his Kevlar helmet and his body. As a result of the wounds suffered during the grenade explosion, Corporal Dunham would pass away 8 days later at the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, with Dan and Deb by his side. This selfless act has inspired our entire nation. In his book, The Gift of Valor, Michael Phillips recounts the story of Jason's humanity and his heroism. Throughout the book, he describes the many people who played an important part in Jason's life. It is those people who form the soul of this great warfighting vessel. As I look at this mighty ship, I am struck by the detail of its construction and the complexity of its operation. But as she sits here today, USS Jason Dunham is more than a mass of iron and cable. She is a symbol of the lives that Jason Dunham has touched. Deb and Dan Dunham, Justin, Kyle, and Katie, they're part of the USS Jason Dunham. William Hampton, Kelly Miller, 2 of Corporal Dunham's Marines are alive today because of Jason. They are part of the USS Jason Dunham. Trent Gibson, Brian Robinson, and Adam Walker, Marines who shared the hardships of war with Jason, are part of the USS Jason Dunham. Dr. Heidi Kraft, whose almost spiritual connection with Jason and her subsequent actions at a remote hospital in the deserts of Iraq allowed him to make it home to America. She is part of the USS Jason Dunham. Jim and Sarah Piner, who have served as informal crisis counselors for hundreds of distraught families at our Naval Hospital of Bethesda, formed an instant kinship with the Dunhams and aided them through their final hours with their son. They are part of the USS Jason Dunham. Petty Officer Jeremiah Byrd, a crew member on the Dunham, hand-stitched a quilt in honor of Jason and presented it to the Dunham family. He is part of the USS Jason Dunham. The countless Americans who have shown up, oftentimes unannounced, at the Dunham's door, simply to shake hands and offer condolences to the family. They are part of this mighty warship. Staff Sergeant Mark Juarez, who was with Corporal Dunham in Iraq 6.5 years ago, and who was seriously wounded in Afghanistan last month. He continues in his recovery today. He also is part of the USS Jason Dunham. And finally, Michaela Dunham, the newest member of the Dunham family, born last month, and Deb and Dan's first grandchild. She is part of this great warship as well. For the captain and crew of Jason Dunham, as you embark on this powerful new warship and continue your selfless service to our nation, may its namesake inspire you to the pinnacle of naval excellence. On 14 April 1865 in Washington, D.C., President Abraham Lincoln made the ultimate sacrifice for his country. 139 years later, Corporal Jason Dunham, on a dusty road in western Iraq, did the same. The date of 14 April and the sacrifice both men made for their country linked these two great Americans throughout history. It is fitting then that it was Lincoln who said, "In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years." May the life that Jason Dunham led and the heroism and bravery he displayed continue to be an inspiration to all Americans and live daily on board this great vessel. Thank you. God bless you. Semper Fidelis and Semper Fortis.